Hello, YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Planet Coaster, the Art of Building a Coaster, Part 2. So in our last episode, which if you haven't watched yet, I would highly recommend watching first. Click the card or annotation or something in the description to go see that first. But if you have seen that episode, then welcome aboard. Here we have our coaster as we left it in the last episode. Well, actually, no, that's not quite true. I did do, just on a lark, a little bit of tweaking. The only tweak I really did is, remember I was telling you to do that smoothing tool, but only click it once? Just for S's and giggles, I decided to try it multiple times on our little hills here, and it actually had a remarkably good improvement. 8.25 excitement and a 5.10 fear. So that's a little higher in the excitement, a lot lower. I think we lopped a whole 0.40 or so off of fear, which is awesome. And nausea, I think, went down by 0.01, which is fine. But regardless, when I was saying only hit the smooth tool once, experiment with it. Maybe sometimes multiple clicks of it will do you better. The other thing I did is I moved the coaster relative to the rest of the map here and relative to our opening here. So today's episode is about scenery, decorations, triggers, animatronics, special effects, paths, and all sorts of things related to that. So this is more of a last episode, left brain, by the numbers design. This episode, right brain, creative design. Now, I make no claims that I am an artist. There are a lot more artistic people out there than myself, so please forgive that. I think in ideas rather than pictures. But I shall try my best here. Let's go for it. Now, the first thing we want to do here is, well, we want to think of a theme. We want to think of what is this coaster besides, a roller coaster in a theme park, The approach I would like to take is that of the Walt Disney World Imagineers. That's what they call the people that come up with all the rides and attractions there. They call them Imagineers. And if you've ever been to Disney, which I've been actually quite recently, so it's rather fresh in my memory, all of their rides, all of their attractions tell a story of some sort. It doesn't have to be a complex story. It's not necessarily a 3-act arc with a hero, a villain, and a plot twist, resident of M. Night Shyamalan. No, sometimes just a set piece is enough of a story. But you gotta find something cohesive to sort of unite everything in a sort of a narrative, to ask your writers to suspend their disbelief just a little bit. So what were we gonna do for our story? Well, I was looking at our little tiers here, our little pillars here, and I was thinking, you know what those kind of look like? If you look at them right, maybe if we color the track differently, oil rig things, those little metal scaffolds with the oil coming out of the top of them, land-based oil rigs, spout things. So you know what, I think that's going to be the theme that I'm going to use for my whole coaster. And I mean, it does, it'll extend beyond just all this. So what are we going to do here? Let's see here. Well, first things first, let's give us a name, a working name. This might not necessarily be the final name, but let's go with a temporary name, a placeholder name, rather than the American Arrow 2 Electric Boogaloo. Let's call it, say, Texas Tea, another name for oil. Now, let's get to coloring the track. That's the easiest thing to do, but let's do it. Let's do it. Now, I'd figure oil, you know what? I think of oil, I think of grays and blacks, like pipeline. This is a dirty, dirty industry. So we want to keep things gray and black and gray, like a Gears of War level. Just lots of grays and blacks. And even the supports. Well, I want them to be metallic, but I want them more like silver metallic rather than, nice and polished white here. So we got, like a steel infrastructure with black things here that kind of look like pipes. And maybe get this maybe a shade dark. There we go. Excellent. For the car colors, we don't want too many colors here. We want to go for the grays and the blacks as well. There we go. Actually, you know what? Let's make the cars themselves black. Oh yeah, like a couple of oil tanks moving along the way here. I like it. I like it a lot. Actually, let's lighten that one up just to. Actually, no, I want that black as well because we're not really going for necessarily the American theme here. So we're kind of blackwashing out the American theme here. Although oil wells are very much American, but they're an international thing. But anyway, I digress. So let's get into some meatier things. One of the things I want to go over here to show you how to use to decent effect here is scenery and triggers. Let's set our ride in motion here with a test here. I know I'm not going to look at the stats or anything, but you got to think of what is it going to look like as it progresses. Yeah, I'll deal with that in a minute. So here we've got a nice long lift hill here. It's a little boring, unfortunately, but there's not much we can do to get around it. Maybe we could spice it up a little bit, give people something to think about. So why don't we go to our scenery tab here, go to special effects, and let's get some, not an ambience, we want noisemakers, audio, there we go, and we want a park speaker triggered. This basically means that this speaker will only fire when it is triggered by a car or a ride, or when you assume its gender. So now this thing we don't want like sticking out in the middle of anything here, and I mean a speaker in a piping rig that doesn't really fit. So we're going to kind of hide this thing, at least from a people's perspective. If we hold down Shift, we can sort of. I mean, you could technically just place it in the middle of the air, but that doesn't look right either. So we're just going to kind of stick it right somewhere on the underside here. Obviously, you can't get too thing, but as long as you put it on what looks like you're putting on the rigging here, it won't look too much out of place. There. I like it. Now, here, let's give people a little bit of, scary, creaky metal. It's unfortunate that that doesn't give you sort of a preview of the sound, but I've listened to it before, and it sounds perfect for this. All right, we will tell it to activate on a trigger. Now, how do we get this thing to activate? Well, we go here and click on this over here, triggers. Edit triggers. All right, place triggers along the trigger. All right, so we're going to add a trigger. Now here, we are basically telling the system when the cars pass over this point, activate that. Now, we don't want it to activate right away. We want it to activate, well, right where the speaker is. So we are going to move that up to right about there. Now, this still isn't activated because we haven't linked it to the object. So we click the Show Attached Objects. There's nothing attached yet. Add Object to Trigger. Well, there's one piece available, and it is glowing purple here. So we click it. Boom. Park speaker triggered. All right, so we hit Done. Oh, hang on. There we go. So now if we set this in motion here, and it starts going up there. Ah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Someone just going up this humdrum lift hill when they hear that. It's like, oh, is this thing safe? So just to raise the hairs on the back of your head a little bit there. Now, as far as building the narrative that these things are oil wells, well, there's a couple of things we can do for that. as far as triggers go. So one of the things we can go here is you can sort, if you go to, well, hang on, first we want custom. If you're looking for a specific type of building material to sort of theme your ride around, in this case we want steel. More filters, property, no, not property, building material, there it goes. And let's see here, metal, we want metal. I think that's the only one that we really want. Yeah, metal, we'll throw in concrete, because that's another material found, but everything else, rough brick maybe. We'll throw that in there too. But what we're looking for is metal. And here, iron scaffolding column is looking good. Ah, here it is. Scaffolding pipe and scaffolding pipe base. Now, these things start out black, but we don't want black. Or they start out red. We want them grayish black. Is that a similar color to the track? It looks like it. All right, so that looks good. So we're going to want this thing, let's see, we want, yeah. We stick it, say, underneath here. Sometimes you have to just force it into the ground if it's trying to auto-snap itself. Like, say, right there. And then if we switch over to the scaffolding pipe proper, dong, 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 dong. Quite a few of these things. There we go. So now we have this extra little pipe. It kind of blends in with the supports, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Now, if we... Now, check this out. If we... Let's go to our special effects. Oops. Let's see. Where are you? Here you are. Oil spray. So there just happens to be a special effect that involves... Oh, do I want oil? No, I want oil jet. There we go. There she blows. Look at that. Look at that. Now, if we put this this emitter here, this little sort of particle emitter, higher up, and we put it at the top here, it looks like we've got a little pipe here, part of this little oil rig here that's blowing its top. And I actually like the tip of the emitter sticking out here. It kind of looks natural to the way the pipe looks. All right, so now let us trigger. We want to put a trigger duration on there. Let's make it 4 seconds, because it's going to trigger when the first car passes by. We want the oil still going even when the last car passes by it. Now, let's go back to, there's one other thing I want to add here, another audio cue here, with another triggerable speaker here. And let's sneak this thing down here, this little speaker. You'll see where I'm going with this in just a minute. Again, just hidden out of the way, but still attached to one of these things, so it kind of looks natural, and it doesn't look like it's floating in outer space. All right, so let's go back to our coaster and to our coaster triggers and make edit triggers. Let's add a new trigger point, number 2. And we're going to make trigger number 2 down here. We're going to add another trigger. Trigger number 3 is going to be right here, right before the top. So that way the lead car can see that thing going off too. Right there. Perfect. All right, so for trigger number 2, we want to add that speaker right there. Trigger number 3, we want to add this little fountain here, because I mean it's no good if the thing's going off constantly. We gotta evoke the effect that we struck oil. Now, as far as the speaker goes, we need to edit this thing. Yeah, silent. I don't know why there's a silent option. Where is it? There we go. No, not impact. Rumble. There we go. So it's like the oil is under the ground, about to blow. So it gives you a little bit of sense of incoming. And then by the time you get to the top, boom! Big stream of oil. Now, let me show you another little trick here to save you a little time. We want the exact same idea on this second pillar. You know, we're going up here, you know, oil, we strike oil. We go down up here, we strike more oil. This is a very productive oil well here. Now, we could just rebuild that from hand the same way we built the original, but there's a faster way to do it. If we select this, this selects this whole thing as a building, quote unquote. And if we hit duplicate, it will duplicate this quote unquote building in its entirety. And now we can place it as just a single structure. Boom! So now we can line it right up here so that everyone coming up this thing get a nice clear view. Now, the one thing it didn't duplicate is the emitter, which is fine. We can add it on there. We're also going to want to add another speaker. I think right down here to this pole is a good idea. Just tuck it under here to hide it. And then we'll go here and grab ourselves another oil jet. And up we go. Holding down shift in order to force it to go up a little bit. Sometimes you have to zoom in and work with perspective to make sure you're actually putting it on top of the pipe and not like out in the middle of space that from that angle looks like it's on top of the pipe. All right, we are going to need to edit this, trigger duration. Let's make this one 5 seconds. It takes a long time for everyone to go over this particular hill. All right. Now, let's see here. Now for this one, we could go with let's do a little copy pasta here. Now this is a little bit too tall for this one, because this one is quite a bit short. So this one would kind of look unnatural. So what I'm going to do is we're going to edit the building. This allows you to edit the individual components that make up this quote-unquote building. And we're going to just select this top pipe and delete it. So now that way we made it a little bit shorter. Now, as far as what we're going to do here, I mean, we could do the same thing, but that's a little bit too predictable. You know, we don't want to be too predictable here. We gotta mix it up here a little bit. So let's say, oh, I don't know. Let's say there's a little bit of an industrial oopsie that happens when we strike this one. So if we go back to our scenery, we'll build up like it's going to happen, like it's going to do the exact same thing as the other two. We'll put the speaker here, and set that to rumble. Oh wait, hang on. We want to split from building. I've found that if you put these individual things the game includes them in a building, quote unquote, you can't edit their individual things. So you hit that split from building, it takes this away from being part of quote unquote building number 7, and makes it its own entity, which now we can customize the way we want. So we're going to go and do a rumble. Like so. And while we're at it, while we're thinking about it, let's rumbleify our other speaker over here. Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. There we go. Beautiful. But now let's do a little something unexpected, shall we? How about... Yeah. Flamethrower. Ooh, flamethrower burst? No, I think I like the flamethrower burst. Alright, I like that. And it still has the tip here, so it kind of looks like it's going to do the same thing as everything else. It's too deep in there. Let me Control Z that. I can always make them more shallow once I'm done with them, because the fact that this is red will be kind of a telling sign. And let's get that as a 5-second thing here. The other thing I want to do, because I don't want this to just look like it's just spouting fire. We need to tell the story that something done gone wrong here. So we're going to get another trigger speaker here. Let's hide it again. This time we're going to hide it all the way up here. And this one, we are going to make, where is it? An explosion! Something done blowed itself up. Now, there is a special effect called an explosion, but it's actually really, really expensive to operate. Actually, is this thing? Yeah, that's... Yeah, 0.5. The actual explosion itself, the special effect, is $10 a month to operate. So that'll put a significant drain on there. That's not to say that we might not use it, but I'm feeling frugal. It's cheaper to run the flame jet plus explosion sound effect. Right then, I think we're pretty good for our triggers. You know what? The other thing we could do is, do I want a fire effect? That's electrical grid, like an actual thing on. Nah, they're going to be past it by then, so the fiery jet will work just fine. All right, so let's make some more triggers. Add trigger. And we're going to want this one to be down by that speaker. Add another trigger. This one will trigger the jet up here. Add another trigger. This one will trigger the rumble down here. And then this trigger will come up, well, let's put it here. Actually, let's move this one back a smidge meter. Like that. All right, beautiful. All right, so number 4 is a little bit too far up. We want to put it down by the speaker here. I don't think there's a distance limit to how far the triggered object is from the trigger itself, and one could probably make some good creative use out of that. But in this particular case, yeah. All right, and then this one is going to trigger off of our oil spout. Number 6 is going to trigger off of our other speaker down here. Oop, and I got to move 6 down a little bit further. Off of that speaker. Thank you. Now, number 7 is going to be pulling double duty here. Because not only do we want it to trigger the flames, but we also want it to trigger the explosion at the same time. So in this case, we're going to add 2 objects to the trigger, both the sound effect of the explosion and the flame jet. All right, I think that's all good for our triggers. Let us give it a test, and let's give it a ride. Just so we can see what it looks like from a first-person. Yeah, there's that creak. So that kind of gives us forewarning. This might not be a. There's the rumble. It's hard to see the spray from a first-person perspective. I mean, future people can see it. Boom! And there's the fire. Hang on. Let's see how that looks from the cinematic camera. I think that might be a better angle here. Besides, not to mention these effects are more for the people who are watching on there. Boom! I struck oil there. There's the rumble again, and the oil. There's the rumble, and boom! You know what? I'm not sure I am in love with that flame jet thing. I actually probably want just the flames. I want just the vanilla flames. Flamethrower. Yeah, it looks a lot more violent and intense that way, too. Oops. Trigger duration, we'll make that 4 seconds. And let us not forget to re-add that to trigger number 7 here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Now, for the actual scenery part itself. Now, one of the things that we do need to keep our eyes on is the queue line scenery bonus, because that has a direct effect on the desirability of people to ride while they ride. Oh, speaking on a people throughput, and this is kind of the reason why it was so much better to have in one end and out the other. We can center both of these. Well, pretty much. They don't have to be exactly centered, but that way people can spread out and get to the either side quite easily, and people can get off the ride quite easily too. So it speeds things up just a little bit. Now, in terms of being able to see our bonus here, right now it's at a 0, but there is no queue. In order to get this to calculate properly, we need to form the queue first. So what I'd advise is build your queue first and then start doing all of your set piece scenery. I mean, the stuff that we did here on the ride itself is, yeah, the track scenery rating. This will go up once we do our next full test because of all the triggers and all these things. But the station scenery rating is another thing altogether. So let us, nope, we want paths. Now this is going to be kind of a black sooted area, so we are going to, let's do the path first. And we're back. Sorry about that. All right, so let's do the path first. We want to get this down to the ground. No reason to go too crazy fancy with it. And just for the sake of continuity, I'm going to link the path to our entrance here, like so. But more importantly, we need to build our queue. And a couple things on that. Well, again, we'll go with the black queue path here, which conveniently sets the ride here to be nice and black as well. Now, one thing I like to do, I mean, temptation would be just to send it left or right here to just start it turning. But here's what I like to do. I like to, first off, I do like to have it on angle snap at 45-degree angle, length of 1, and then we can start moving it along like that. But I like leaving gaps, like one whole square gaps in between it and whatever else we're making it next to. And I'll show you why in just a moment. Now we do, I know, here's an idea that I have for our queue path. And I'll expand on this in just a moment. Curious, that's considered obstructed. All right, well, we'll leave a little gap in there. That'll work out for us. Now, if we double it back on here, we have sort of like a little windy path here. Yeah, let's just a little bit of a windy path. And then we'll send it down to the ground. And we'll get that out there. Now, one thing that one bit of a tip that I would highly advise of you is to, actually, you know what, this is a little too windy for my tastes. I have a better idea. That's a little better. Because this ride can process a lot of people. Yeah, we can do a little back and forth down here underneath the grates. I don't like all of the supports disappearing like that. I kind of need that for that. Like, they're kind of part of the scenery here. Like, I'm okay with a couple of the supports vanishing, or a couple of the lower supports vanishing, but I don't want all of the supports vanishing. Okay. One more. Now, you generally want your path, your cube, to dump out somewhat near where your exit is, because that way you can have riders who are interested in riding again have very easy access to get back onto the ride. Now, one of the other things we can do here, well, you know what? I'm not going to get into path mechanics. That'll be for a later episode. But now that we've actually connected this thing, look, we're already at a 39% Q scenery rating just from some of the stuff we've added to the ride itself alone. I'm going to guess this creek thing is counting towards that Q bonus, which is worth beaucoup bucks. Now, let's take a look at some of the other scenery we can do. And actually, what I want to do here is I want to actually make this sort of like a refinery. Like the station itself, I want to be sort of a refinery. Because we got all this oil extraction out here and all this track that kind of looks like piping. You got to pump it into a refinery to make use of it. So let's do that. Now, once again, we're going to want more filters here. Building material. We want rough brick. Because this isn't going to be like a super duper high tech refinery. This is like a Industrial Revolution era refinery. Alright, rough brick. Head building, angle snap. Alright, we want this to, we want the rest of the pieces will sort of fall in line here, but we want our initial piece to sort of be right on line. Actually, if we snap it here, there we go. And now we can sort of stack this on top. You can add like a little bit of a window. Z to rotate. There, we got a little bit of a window here, just so people from the outside can have a little peeky peek inside. Now, yeah, the track is not going to make that work for us. Yeah, why not? We can do triangular cuts to let the pipe work in here. Oop, these things probably could stand to be pulled out a little bit. That way it's not, doesn't look like it's bleeding through the station path here. Alright, we still need a little bit of a... Ooh. It almost perversely looks like a heart. But hey, that works. That works. Because we got ourselves an entrance. And actually, we could do the same thing on while it's departing. Like so. And then triangles down below. Alright, let's continue surrounding our building here with walls. And keep in mind that walls are considered, you know, part of the scenery. So you can get some pretty good stuff, pretty good bonuses with just building walls. even though we're just making ourselves sort of a basic structure here. Let's do something a little fancier. There we go, a nice little entrance there for the people to get in. Is there something we can do? Ooh, chimneys, that'll be useful. I'll put something to sort of fill in those little two mini gaps left there. Those look a little bit out of place, but I think we can use something else to fill them in. Beautiful. And now we just need to put in the front. We'll do another window here. What side of the wall are you guys on? You on the outside? I think you're on the outside. And then we'll do our little window pane here. Oh, you guys are one thing in, aren't you? Yeah, see, sometimes, see how there's, you can be on the either the back end of one square or the front end of the other. You need to be, you need to pay mind which side you stick to, and at least be consistent. Otherwise, your stuff's going to look a little bit off. See, yeah, these guys are all on the inside, which actually probably is what I should do for this then. Oh, wait, the top one here is... That's why it was looking off. That's more like it. See, now this will hold mesh with it. Beautiful. Oops. Do I want... Nah. I'll keep it consistent. So 2 windows here. Now, there should be a flat brick roof. Because we do want ourselves a nice big brick roof. We could go with a slightly different material, like a metallic one. Let's go for metal and see if that gives us some roofs to play with. Because I mean, we want brick, but we also want metal. Like we want kind of an amalgam of the two. Corrugated iron. Yeah, I wouldn't say corrugated iron. Nah. Steel roof flat. That might look a little bit weird. Steel, well, that's a little bit too pretty looking. We need something kind of ugly. Metal alloy. Ooh. Metal alloy roof. Yeah, I can see that working. Can we customize the color? We can. Let's make you a lot sootier, Mr. Metal Alloy Roof. And yeah, we could do it a lip higher. Alright, so we're going to make this, well, pretty much fully enclosed. We'll get a proper archway for that exit there, too. A brick archway. Where's our brick? There it is. Might as well mirror this on the other side. Beautiful. Now, to set the theme a little bit more, brick knee, rough brick, broken. I think we need to go with a steel chimney post. What is this thing? That is not what we want. We want something that screams like gigantic industrial pipe. In fact, we might go for another one of these scaffolding pipes. Now, one of the things that you typically... see, you gotta be careful with perspective there. Oh yeah, hold down Control to select multiple items so you can move them. One of the things I've seen on oil rigs is that they like to burn off the gas for some reason, or some sort of flammable excess waste pro stuff here. So we are going to go back to our special effects here, but this one isn't going to be triggered. This is just going to be kind of a, in this case, a flamethrower burst might be a pretty good idea. And this one we can safely bury inside here and just have the flame jets coming out. There we go. And now I still, once again, you know what? Let's do a flamethrower narrow, because it's... And actually, you know what I've seen? Sometimes, just to sort of make it look like the wind is blowing, I'm going to hold down the X button. This brings out the advanced placement. We're going to rotate this thing. Let's give it a little tilt. Oh, wait. It's auto angle snap 45. We don't want it going at a 45 degree. Just a little bit off angle here. And you know what? Just for... Where's our smoke? We don't want oil jets. Smoke burst, smoke... We don't want smoke burst. We just want smoke. Oh, wait, is this a $10... Well, hang on. What's the monthly cost on this thing? I don't... It's okay if it's... Hang on, I'm just placing a random one here just so I can see it's $1. All right, that's fine. All right, I like it. I like it a lot. And now one other little bit of a touch here. Let's get some animatronics going in here. Iron flywheel? Yeah, I like that. I'm going to stick that inside here. Just give a little visual interest to the people inside waiting. Yeah, like right there. Ooh, iron girders? Yeah, a little bit late to go the iron girder route. And we're not going for that. Iron piston, eh? Oh, not a locomotive. We're not going Old West here. Oil pump! There we go! The final piece de resistance. So we will place one of these outside here just to let people know what we're dealing with. Let's put one of these just right here, just because you passed by it twice. This will we're still sucking oil out here. That's part of our game here. Now there's still one more thing that I want to do. This whole section right here, it's a little anemic, just a touch. Actually, yeah, before I spice that, all right, 64. We're going to spice up the path after this. But one other thing I want to touch up here, and that is this whole section here. It's a little anemic. So you know what? What else is known for oil is well, pollution. So let's go the pollution route. Let us show our lovely writers some pollution. That's not pollution. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the terrain tool. Now, for those of you who are seeing some frustrations on how to place lakes, that's going to be your tutorial. So, sculpting. In order to make a lake, you're going to want to make a depression in the land. You need to lower some bits of land lower than the rest of the land around it so it can hold the lake. So we are going to push the land down like so. This won't really affect the coaster any. Scenery lock. Yeah, we want a scenery lock. We don't want the building that we so. Oops. Yeah, that looks a little bit off to have it on there. So, but what we can do is we can sort of put it here. And we'll have a little bit of the lake extend here over this little bit right here. Now, we want to place water, or in our case, dirty water, because what else kind of water would you see by an oil pumping rig and refinery? If we set the water level, which, like, to say here, it will fill in all of the water in the depressions that you've created. So now we've got this lovely polluted lake next to our factory. That really helps improve the sort of the style of it, the look of it. But we're not quite done yet. We can still do more with our little terrain tool. If we take our terrain tool brush here, let's paint the ground here. Because you know what? I'd say the grass probably ain't green when we're extracting oil. It might be green the rest of the park, but near here, not so much. Not so much. We are kind of poisoning the land. So, we've got our nice little dystopian gray here. Ah, isn't that lovely? Okay, so we've got our visual look. Now let's get that Q scenery rating up to maximum. Now let's see. Let's find some good cheap props that we can. No, we don't want an exploding wooden barrel. Ooh, iron lampposts. These actually will look quite nice in here. And if we spam them around the thing here, that will certainly give us some Q scenery rating, and look really nice at night too. Yeah, we'll put it up here. These will be elevated. Also, why aren't these paths railing on? Yeah, railing, please. This might be a dystopian world, but we want railings, please. Otherwise, that might, yeah. We want railings up here. We don't want guests falling into the polluted desolation water. And those things are... Yeah, see what I was talking about before with perspective? It looked like they were right before, but because I was looking at it from the wrong perspective... Oops. These are out of place. That's better. And you, my friend, yeah, again, perspective can really screw with you. So you got to be careful with it. That one I did well. Bamboo torch. What other lights? Oil lamp. Oil lamps. Well, these oil lamps themselves will do quite nicely inside here, because, well, we don't want this place pitch black. There we go. Square lantern A. Actually, the square lanterns might look better on the elevated spots here. So, let's move you. Yeah. put one out here. Alright, square lanterns. Right there. And you know what? Just for a little bit of visual fluff here. Let's find something. Oh, a water tower. Ooh, we can color this thing. Oh, this isn't just a water tower, my friends. This is a tower of filth. Oh, I have such a big idea for this thing. We hit Z to rotate. Like so. Place that up there. That'll get our Q scenery rating up nice and high. And then let's do one more special effect. Intermittent. No, we don't want intermittent. We want... Can we change the color of the water? No, we can't. Oh well. Still. Water spout. No, we want water jet. Yeah, no, we don't want it all fancy. Stream jet? Oh, it's steam jet. I can read. Spark, smoke. Give me something else here. I mean, I guess I could do the oil ones. But why would they be pouring their... Why would they be pouring the oil here? Engine? No, not engine thruster. Explosion? No. That's the expensive one, the exploding special effect. Bubbles. Now, let's just go with the water. And what we're going to do to get this right is we'll go to X to do fine manipulation. Because we want to place this properly. So that it's right here at the end, and we want to rotate this so that it's pouring into the... Well, no, we don't want it pouring onto the track. We want to point it down so it's pouring onto the... Yeah! Look at that pollution right there. Let me just check it from a few different angles here. That's good enough for me. All right. Looking good. How are we doing here? 76%. All right, let's find a few more things here. I know this episode's going long, but I care. I care. Ooh, some dead trees. Yes. Dead trees. Dead trees. Yes. Now, one thing, if you're going to repeatedly spam a piece of scenery, but you want it to kind of look a little different so it doesn't look like it's just repeatedly spammed, hit the Z button to rotate it every time you place one. And the variety of angles here... are you? All right, good. You're not floating. That... Beautiful. Yeah, some nice dead trees here. Ooh, here, it's a little extra sadness aesthetic. We'll have one that has fallen into the water. Well, that's just sort of sitting there floating. Does that look natural enough? It needs to be tilted down just so that the trunk is sort of floating there. Beautiful. Natural destruction and the harvesting of resources. How we doing? 84%. Still more to go. More dead trees. And we could also go for some more special effect props. Let's see what else we got here. Get some iron gears here on the side of the actually, that would be an interesting... Yeah, just right there. Why not? Be like a little pump gear here. Angle snap and angle to surface. There we go. That does not look right. Ah, that's because we need these in between them. That looks better. There we go. Scenery, check. %, so close. Iron fuse box. Oh, iron firebox. Never mind. I can read once again. Yeah, you know what? Let's say some scaffolding fell over here. Yeah, gotta keep those rotating to keep the visual interest going. Clang, clang. Just this dystopian mess here. Now we could do an archway here, but not a nautical archway. Ooh, can we color you? I can't color this? I'm not placing that if it's all bright, shiny red. Whalebone. Eh. I guess it kind of fits. What's our thing looking like now? 95. You know what? Good enough. Good enough. All right, folks. Well, that, my friends. Let's see if we've altered our ratings any here. Because sometimes placing scenery can alter your ratings. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Oh, yeah. Cinematic camera. Here goes the oil. There goes more oil. And we're under the water. Thank you, cinematic camera. There goes the explosion. Whoa! Ooh, I like it with the scenery. A lot more visually interesting. And in we go to the the building. Oh, I love it. And our ratings have not changed. Good. All right, folks. So this is Texas tea. I hope you guys liked it. So if you like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback is always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar.